Sirius 197, XM 202, The Virus. The Ron and Fez show starts right now. It's the best and worst of the decade with Ron and Fez. The Technology Edition.
Hey, it's the Ron and Fez show with yet another best of the decade, Fez.
This is the best of the decade. You're going to get one each day while we're on vacation. We've covered some other topics like movies and television and sports and music. Here's one, technology of the 2000s.
Technology, Fezzy, which is, let's say probably has bypassed all the other things that we've been talking about over the last 20 years. You know, movies, TV, sports, they've hit a plateau. Technology, it's all happening for. What is the first topic on board?
First topic is best product of the decade.
Best product of the decade. Now, how do you define best product?
I think best product is probably it's what you think has made the a big difference in your life. It's your favorite product of the decade.
Well, I mean, are we going to go with a juicer because I happen to enjoy one? Are we talking about products that have changed the way we actually live?
Yeah.
So now we're taking that quantum leap ahead. Davey Mac, what is the product that changed life the way we knew it?
Okay. The iPod, to me, changed the way we see, hear, and experience music. And I do say see because you can have a video iPod. Here's why. Most of us don't buy CDs anymore. And we get the music digitally because iTunes had to give it to the iPod.
Now, what year did the iPod come out?
The iPod came out in 2001. Was introduced in Apple in 2001.
And in the last 8 years, we've lost so many of the large record chains.
Exactly. That's not coincidence.
And, of course, it's almost completely put the record store business out.
And just think of when you're walking down the street, doesn't matter what town or city you live in America, think of how many people have their earbuds in at all times.
I do, but for my Discman. I stay with the Discman.
You have a Discman, really?
Yes, I don't want to get rid of it. It still works.
Yeah, but it's cumbersome and...
Is it?
It's actually a fantastic point. Discman, we're like, oh yeah, it's not going to get better than Discman.
You believe my life? I've got a Discman.
This is
so when I'm jogging, I just listen to my Discman.
And now this is literally, no, you know what? Take every fucking disc you have and condense it into one small portable thing. And not just music, like I said, because I download movies to my iPod. Mm-hmm. You know, I've got Goodfellas and all that.
Hold on. Do you feel like you invented that? You're sitting here acting like you're the first person?
What I'm saying is, the iPod to me is transportation entertainment.
Des Watley doesn't own an iPod.
I don't have one.
And there's 4 of us, 3 of us own an iPod. And come on, I think, forget about 75%, I would say 85% of people own an iPod. It's transportation entertainment.
Let's go over to our own Pepper Hicks. Young gentleman I like to call a Christopher Tanley. Mr. Tanley, you heard iPod. Can you beat it?
Oh, definitely. The thing that was the gadget, the item of the last 10 years was the cell phone, more specifically the smartphone, like your BlackBerries, and now most recently your iPhones.
Your iPhone.
The iPhone and the BlackBerry, I put them in the same place. Smartphone. Phones that do more than just make phone calls.
Now, am I crazy here that the BlackBerry looked like one thing, and as soon as the iPhone came out, now the BlackBerry looks like an iPhone?
Yes. Well,
I mean,
the touchscreen.
Yeah, but before that, the BlackBerry kind of worked as a telephone, and now it works almost like an iPhone, being that portable computer.
Because before the BlackBerry was just email, the main thing, what blew the BlackBerry up was email. And it was an email and a cell phone in one. Your corporate email and you get your cell phone calls.
Yeah.
But with the iPhone coming out, it's with the apps and making it, internet capable and bunch of superfluous shit. But people like that, and that added on to the BlackBerry.
But the BlackBerry, and I have one, doesn't really work that well. People complain all the time that they can't hear me speaking.
As a phone, it doesn't work.
It doesn't work well as a phone. Pepper, in fact, complains about it all the time.
How does it work as being able to go online, do stuff?
Everything else is great.
Isn't that the funniest thing about it?
I mean, the emails are great.
There's no reason that wouldn't be a great gadget if it didn't have a phone.
I know.
You know?
Yeah, and I do have some music on here.
Your music on there.
In case my iPod screws up. I have it on BlackBerry.
They should lose the phone part and just say no more drop calls.
Here's Fez Watley. We've heard iPod, iPhone. Fez Watley.
The invention, the gadget of the 2000s is the TiVo, the digital video recorder. And I think it changed the way people watch television. I think it's changed the way the networks produce television, because now, since the arrival of DVRs, you can now get shows available online on the computer from the networks themselves. They realize that they're competing with this and of watching things when you want to watch it, and it's changed television and the way we watch it.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. What's interesting is, like you said, every one of these new inventions has hurt an already current existing industry. Everybody thought that the world was going on one way. I mean, your entire life, if you don't see the television show and you don't tape it, you don't get it again.
Right, that's
the end of it. I mean, we thought the VCR was a big deal.
Yeah.
And they used to complain the VCR is hurting TV because people can now watch whenever they want. That's a point. And I never thought that we would get to the point, and you kind of brought it up, Fez, that I would be able to watch my NBC shows on the on-demand channel anytime I want and without commercials. You could just sit there, watch Parks and Recreation whenever the hell you want to.
It's pretty awesome. There's no question about that. And it's necessary.
It didn't seem like material that the networks would ever be willing to give up in that respect. Of you watch it when we tell you to watch it.
I'm going to pick the winner here, and I'm going to go with a person who I think brought up the thing that made the biggest impact, and that was Chris Stanley with the iPhone, because it had everything that Dave had with the iPod, but turned it up a notch by bringing the computer and, of course, even satellite radio into that. You've got something right now that you can walk down the street with that was more equipment than if you had the most equipment that you could have in like 1995. Your house would have been just filled with these things.
Yeah.
And now you've got something in your pocket. The cell phone. You've got a chance to go online and look at the restaurant you're going. You've got your maps on there.
Stereo.
The stereo. Movies.
TV.
I mean, will it ever get to a point as we advance in this where, like, the cell phone just replaces the PC altogether in your house? You know, like how a lot of people don't have a landline anymore. I prefer to keep one. They just have their cell phone. That took away, the cell phone took away a piece of equipment, of technology in your house.
Yes and no, because it didn't really take it away. It just changed it. And I honestly think as you look at this, the computer, the phone, the television, GPS, it's all going to be the same thing. You're not, the people of the future aren't going to make that big of difference between one terminal and another. You know, it's just you connected. But what has changed? I mean, we were talking in the late 90s of, well, people need to be on the computer all the time. Now you are connected wherever you want to go. And if by the time Dave's kids start going out and dating or going to parties, he's going to be tracking them. And there, you won't have the thing of, oh, I'm at Janie's tonight sleeping over. He'll be able to see her cruising towards the beach as she's telling this lie.
Unless she leaves the phone at Janie's, which would be smart of her to do.
We will see, because I'm not betting on that.
Okay.
I'm really not betting that there won't be, because you'll be able to see immediately. Let me see. Show me around.
True.
I'm going to call you back in an hour. You better be there. You're going to be able to keep up with it. And I think leaving that phone behind would seem insane to people. It would almost like leaving the oxygen behind.
Yeah. I never trusted that little Janie.
It does feel crazy when you're disconnected.
So in reality, in a way, I'm going to... everybody has come up with a great one. But what Chris Stanley did is taken everything that all you guys have and put it into one piece.
Oh, my gosh.
Including XM Sirius, satellite radio. Thank Christ this is an XL channel. Next topic, Fezzi.
The next topic would be websites. Websites of the decade.
Websites of the decade, or what I like to call them, .coms. Eastside Dave.
Ron?
And now, we're talking about something that had to be invented in this decade.
Yes.
Correct? Okay.
Right.
Well, 2004. I mean, it sounds crazy. But I looked it up on Google, and you know what I looked up? Google. 2004 it was created. That's the most important thing, maybe in the history of research, communication, and everything else.
Let's just go back over those numbers again. We never heard the term Google between 2004. That can't be, right?
It does not sound right. Seems like we've been Googling it for a while.
I remember in high school when a computer science teacher told me, you guys should really use this search engine. I don't think many people are using it yet, called Google.
Yeah.
And I never fucking stopped using it.
It says right here that Google said that it was a primitive form created in 2000. Okay, so it's still, I'm in the decade. Yeah. But the Google, as we know it, the TM, the real Google search engine, was 2004.
Now, I feel nuts right now. We weren't Googling in the 90s.
No, we were not Googling in the 90s. That's my point.
Wow.
I mean, if you want to quibble about what year, it's a 2000s thing.
That is almost insane. Now, not only does everybody use it constantly, but it's probably one of the biggest companies in the world now.
Absolutely. I mean, and I know people who work for Google. They love Google. I know, and Google's just going to have to get more and more people.
And it seems like it's become a word like Kleenex, where even if you're not using it, you're still going to Google something.
Why? Yeah. What other search engines are you using, Fez? That your mistake? Where are you going? Alta Vista? Do you use anything besides Google?
The only thing I use, very rarely, is a Yahoo.
Still. I never do. Never
Bing,
bothered.
That fucking travesty.
Bing, I mean, Yahoo, they're
I heard
Google.
Bing was going to be big, but then you never heard about it again, right?
No, it's shit.
Yeah.
No, but and you never hear anyone binging anything or Yahooing anything.
Yeah. I don't even think people even think of those as search engines anymore. Right. I remember we used to have tons of search engines, and nobody could seem to get it together.
Yeah.
Ask Jeeves.
Lycos.
All right, so Davey Mack came out this in the high country. Phenomenal.
That's right.
I don't know whether it can be beat. What do you got for 6?
It can't be. Can I say Twitter? It's not going to beat Google. Google, it's so huge, and it's only getting bigger. They're only doing more and more. They're coming out with their own fucking cell phone and cell phone service.
I can Google your Twitter.
They are a crazy conglomerate in the dawn of the internet age, I guess this would be.
Yeah, but they were only out a couple of years before people were going, we got to break them up. They're too big. You're like, what?
Yeah.
My cousin just found out about them the other day, and now they're too big.
Well, it's funny because I remember, like, in college in '98, there was computers and there was the internet, but it was just, you had to go to specific websites. And if they
when you had to do the www.
Right. And if they didn't have a website, about who shot Alexander Hamilton or whatever, then you were shit out of luck.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, it was really after Googling that you could comfortably go out and get information quickly.
And I think, in a way, Google does make us a little bit smarter.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, now it could be with silly, trivial facts, but still, that's knowledge that you didn't have before.
All right, we're all agreeing it's going to be tough to beat Google.
Okay.
But you brought up the Twitter. Another one that went from nowhere like this time last year to now you can't turn on your news without hearing, go to our Twitter page. I just tweeted this. I picked up the Twitter. And here's Twitter and Google. Two stupid words we never had. And now your mom's like, well, why don't you Google it or Twitter, tweet it to me and I'll Google it. I don't care. And you're like, this quickly it takes place? Because I remember when my dad got his computer, he would call me up and he'd go like this. Ron, you got internet, right? I'm like, yeah, Pop, I do. And he'd go, what's this place that had the lamps? I was at the other day, had lamps, you could get them like 2 for $50. And I go, don't act like it's a mall, Pop. He would always act like, well, you got the internet. What is that, what's that place that, Larry Boa? They had the article on Larry Boa. He'd always saw it as this very small thing. Right. And we now know, like, without Google, you wouldn't find anything. Without Twitter now, it's a chance for you to act like my thoughts matter to everyone else. You tried it for a little while and dropped out, Fez.
Right, yeah. About 3 days I dropped out. A little shy of the 60-day thing they put on it.
I love it. But I think I might be the only one here who Twitters, but I love it.
We let the show news go through the 202 Friends Twitter.
Right, you're right.
But I feel like since I have a radio show, if I get a thought, I'll save it for the radio show.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't do thoughts. I just do videos.
That's why it always kills me. I see like Sarah Silverman or Jay Moore put one of their jokes out there on the air, and I'm like, save it for the stage. You're not getting paid to Twitter.
Well, maybe they can still use it,
I would hate to go somewhere and go, yeah, I saw this on the Twitter page.
That's smart.
Not as exciting. Hicks, when you heard about this, you didn't think it would ever make it that because of Facebook.
Yeah, and when it did blow up, I realized it's because people who missed the boat on Facebook and MySpace had to jump in on this and get it and fucking market it and became huge.
Well, here's something exciting. Our Twitter friends at 202 Friends, who we're now doing stuff through, now have a Facebook. So they actually, this unknown thing went from Twitter also into Facebook.
That's amazing.
And it's just going to grow like a cancer.
The weird thing about Twitter is it feels very primitive. Like, it feels that it's more in common with those, remember those old AOL home pages that you could make for yourself? And they were very bare bones, you know?
I think with the 140 characters, it seems
I guess you're
simplistic.
Right, you're forced to do that.
Yeah, but why would we want less?
That's
if
what
you already
mean.
have more...
It does seem like a de-evolution.
Yeah, and that would be like, Fez, there's new pants with only one pant leg. You're going to love it. You're having less pant leg.
And you start wondering, like, Jesus Christ, how... I mean, if it's less than Facebook and other stuff, how...
Soon we'll just be grunting online.
But how did... Like, why did everyone decide to go to Twitter in 2008?
I think it's what Hicks said, that you want to be the new thing. I mean, we could have... If we might have done this as biggest website in 2000, and halfway mark or something, we all might have said MySpace. Mm-hmm. Oh, MySpace. And even my mom, everybody used to say that.
Yeah.
Now you go to MySpace, it's fucking empty.
It's gone.
And yet, they're still there. So if I go find Dave's old MySpace page, there's just pictures of him looking thinner and messaging back and forth with people from 2005, 2006.
What's crazy is MySpace thing was bought for $500 million by fucking Rupert Murdoch, and Facebook's valued at like $10 billion now.
Yeah.
4 years later, it's mind-boggling how crazy the social networking shit
and
is.
People, the social networking is so fucking gigantic that I never see what a Rupert Murdoch thinks he can make off of it.
Right.
I don't know how he thinks he can get the money done. But the interesting thing is, we know there's going to be something new. Bling blang is coming before you know it. And there's got to be guys going like this. This is going to blow Facebook, MySpace, and Twitter away. When people get to see this.
Oh, I can't wait to go on Bling Blang.
Yeah.
Or its offshoot.
Bling Blang me. Bling Blang me, Dave.
Okay. I'll be there.
Why did you turn down my hamster bling?
See what Courtney loved Bling Blang the other day? Nut.
Fez Watley, you got some high weeds out here.
Yeah.
What do you got for us?
What I have is this website, if anything happened to the human race, they should try to find a way to preserve this website for aliens that live here or any other species that might show up.
All right, I when I said give it this, I didn't mean sound nutty as you can for a long period of time. If Christ himself were to come down off of his cross, what website you got, Fez?
I got YouTube.com.
YouTube, I think, was the only other one out there. Good call on it, Fez Watley. This one has changed the way... we always used to sit around and talk about people are their attention span is even less. Mm-hmm. YouTube, you're seeing all these different videos, but you're firing through them so quickly that when you finally go back to watch a movie, you struggle with it after watching YouTube.
Right. It is so useful. And that is something that just, it's only helped, I think. I think YouTube is one of those things. I don't see any negative impact of YouTube for the most part.
Well, the negative impact is what it is with a lot of sites is you're taking content, you're putting up there and acting like it's free. So we've lost a lot of the NBC content. We've lost a lot of different bands don't want their videos out there at all.
I think if you spark interest, though, that it's only good. I think people...
It would depend. If what you're selling is the TV show The Office, you don't want people watching it for free. You would like them to either go through the sponsored deal or buy the product. Because since YouTube, do you ever even see the DVDs of TV shows? Remember, they peaked so big with Chappelle. Whereas Chappelle, they just went, he just made $50 million off his DVDs. And you're like, and everybody was like, well, this is great. Seinfeld and everybody's running out. And then the following year, the DVDs thing, we sold 14 copies of Lost. You agree with this one, Hicks?
It's a fantastic pick because it's killed a lot of things, but YouTube is everyone goes to YouTube.
And everything, I mean, it doesn't take but moments for something to get on YouTube. If you heard somebody fell off a stage during a concert in Montreal, that video will be up there almost instantaneously.
Oh, I know I have a YouTube channel.
Oh, but when Fez was describing it before he said it, I thought he was going to say Wikipedia. Because
Wikipedia was gigantic.
I think it still is. And it's like a social experiment because it's people who don't get paid are editing these things.
And yet, at every given time, people feel better about it. Just think about how many people are just doing film criticism online now. Mm-hmm. Stuff like Rotten Tomatoes, where in seconds you can go of a movie opening, you will know what percentage of critics are into it, what are against. You could read just about. Another perfect one for me is the Yelp. Completely changes the way that I go out to restaurants.
Well, there's so much websites that's just dedicated to info, like a Craigslist.
Yeah, Craigslist we never even brought up.
Yeah, I mean, they're
and
just...
And that's this decades, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And that became absolutely massive. But would you say not as big as it used to be, Hicks?
Craigslist is dying, I think, because a lot of just the negative publicity. But I think Craigslist is killing eBay, which is nowhere near as big as it used to be.
I had no idea.
Was it eBay this decade?
No, it was the 90s.
That was late 90s.
The eBay's, I thought, was one of the really first websites to get out there. But it's really funny how quickly we act like Google and Craigslist seemed a lot older to us.
Right.
I mean, the Foo Fighters still feel like a new band because, and yet Craigslist and Google feel like they've been around forever.
Right. You can't picture yourself without Google now. I can't even imagine a world without Google.
It's not a world I want to live in, David.
I need to know exactly what Billy Martin's batting average was in 1950.
The other interesting thing is people will still get out and make websites where it felt like, okay, everybody who got there early has got it down now. You know, at one point it just felt like Amazon.com, oh, all right, that's it. You're never going to be able to get another one.
Right.
There's no more businesses like that. But to look at some of these things and figure out how quickly they become a household name, I don't think companies in the past, like companies that got started in the 1950s, would have any idea that they could get in the public conscious this quickly.
Right. God bless us all.
It's weird. You got to keep up with it.
We're really what we're thinking about is that
we're thinking thoughts. This
decade is probably going to be known for technology and for these websites.
Well,
it's not going to be known for the music that we did yesterday.
But guess what?
Or whatever.
We said that about the 80s. In the 80s, everyone was like, wait till they see the video games that we had now.
Right.
And maybe that's what we'll talk about when we come back. We'll get into a little bit of gaming talk. As we wrap up the decade, it's the Ron and Fez Show.
Anybody wants to see, there's a Donkey Kong kill screen coming up. There's a Donkey Kong kill screen coming up if anybody wants to watch. There's a potential Donkey Kong kill screen if you want to watch.
I can tell he's not on my side. He's a disciple of Dewey.
Ron and Fez Show. Happy holidays, everybody. We wanted to give you 1 hour of new material every day over the holidays, and this one we're talking about the technology of this decade. Still blown away, Dave, that Google is of this decade.
Yeah, isn't that amazing?
It's nutty.
But the more I think about it, it's true, because when I was in college...
if there's a fact...
Well, my first stint of college, maybe that's why I did so poorly. No Google. My second stint of college, Google, 3.2.
Well, you also changed your major. He majored in nothing. So that helps quite a bit.
How did your studies change when cut and paste came around?
That's really hurtful, because you know he's stupid.
I wouldn't say that.
That's why
that was
I
blunt,
stuck up for you.
No.
We got into the... it's time to start doing gaming talk. Davey Mack, how much time would you say a week you spend gaming?
I spend 7 hours a week, because I spend at least half an hour here, half an hour there on the weekend, on the weekdays, and I would say 2 hours each on Saturday, Sunday.
How big of a gamer are you, Hicks?
I used to be huge, but I don't have any of the new systems now, so I'm not. But because if I did, it'd be constant, just nonstop. I love video games. I just don't have access to them at this point.
And Fez Watley?
I do no gaming during the week, Ron. Yeah.
How about the weekend?
Nope, none during during the weekend either. Weak wrists, short thumbs. Not really built for game controllers.
Just not true.
Well, there's
not true.
various controllers now. It's not just the old school Nintendo thing.
He hasn't tried it since '85.
There's plenty of different controllers that you don't need to have good wrists.
What is the game of the decade?
So many great games, and more than even movies. If we were struggling with movies and music, this decade, the games eclipsed the movies and music.
Well, they certainly did in terms of sales.
Movies got made because of fucking games.
You make
and all that.
more money if you have a successful game than if you had a successful movie or rock and roll tour.
Rock Band is the game of the decade.
That was your fave.
Yeah, I mean, I loved Guitar Hero, which was its predecessor, but let's face it, once Rock Band came on...
And those were two different companies, right?
Two different. Yeah, MTV owned Rock Band. The other one, Activision, I believe, owned Guitar Hero. And Rock Band, it's not...
Rock Band, you don't have to put out the red light.
It's not a coincidence that you have Beatles Rock Band. This is the preeminent rock and roll band of all time, partnering with the Beatles. For years didn't even want to go on iTunes, yet they signed off on a Rock Band pretty much like 3 or 4 years into Rock Band's being made. That's not coincidence. That's because this thing changed.
How massive was that? How massive was the Beatles Rock Band?
Beatles Rock Band was huge, but not as big actually as the original Rock Band, which featured, artists, all kinds of artists, Nirvana, the Ramones, whatever. And people have Rock Band parties, and it's not going away anytime soon. Because people love music, and in a way, it's helped keep rock and roll alive, in my opinion.
Well, at least classic rock.
Classic rock.
I don't know. Has anybody released any new songs on there?
I mean,
they have Hicks.
Yeah, a few bands have.
GNR released, before Chinese Democracy came out, they released a couple songs on Rock Band. And, you get yeahs, and you get plenty of modern bands doing that. And plenty of bands are deciding to release a single off of Rock Band. Because Rock Band, all these new systems, whether it's the Wii, the Xbox, or the PlayStation 3, they all connect to your internet, so you can just keep uploading the same songs.
Fezzi,
new songs.
What about for you?
I think the game of the decade is probably Grand Theft Auto.
Nice call, Fezzi. Is that because all of us appear on there?
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto 4 in particular. But Grand Theft Auto throughout this decade, just the fact that you're not just going to different levels, but you can get lost and go inside whole complete worlds. Grand Theft Auto.
That was amazing. The fucking 360 play of that game is ridiculous, because think about it. You had Pac-Man, or even
not all that long ago,
right?
But it really does feel like we've gone from silent films to talkies to 3Ds to like everything that happened over the film industry. It seems like it's happened very quick, like in the last 25 years with video games. Pong is this. It's you could be 35 and have played Pong and not even on your TV. You played Pong at the mall.
The original Super Mario, I am a Mario connoisseur. I love him. And the original Super Mario Brothers, it was left to right, and you couldn't go back. Like, once you went to the right, in other words, you were always moving from left to right, and you couldn't even go back to the left. The screen would stop. Now, Mario Galaxy, he's up, he's down.
You were never going to see a character face forward. Like your Mario thing.
Never.
You got a left profile or a right profile?
Never.
But let me just say this, and as proud as you are of that game, Fez, and as proud as you are of Rockstar, and they're going to do a lot more of those, where do you see Red Dead Redemption? And the trailer's out.
I can't wait.
Eastside Dave and I are both. Have you seen the trailer yet?
No.
It looks like a Clint Eastwood Western directed by Quentin Tarantino. It is phenomenal.
Yeah, this is going to be. I'm probably going to get an Xbox for this game because I love westerns so much. And this look, and I mean, I saw the artwork. And I was shown some artwork, and I was like, "Oh, this is going to be,
it's insane.
This is going to be awesome."
It's crazy how Rockstar just revolutionized video games in general. There weren't any other games that lets you do whatever you want, like in Grand Theft Auto 3.
Right.
And then there's not even dozens and dozens of games that just rip them off with that feel.
Oh, absolutely. It just goes on and on. But if you go down there, and it's not that far from where we broadcast from, and like I said, everybody in the show has had the opportunity to go in and do some voiceover for them, it's nuts how long and how much goes into one of these games.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about, they're bigger than movies now, as if that was, surprising. They probably invest more and put more work hours into these games than you do a Hollywood movie.
Grand Theft Auto made $500 million in a week.
You can't comprehend those numbers. They just don't make sense to you.
That's like fucking drug czar shit.
I don't know what drug czar would have been pulling that off. Honestly, there's not too many businesses ever that could have done that outside of even the entertainment business.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. It really is.
All right, good one for you, Fezzi. I like what you're doing here. You didn't know a lot about music. You gave us shitty answers. You don't know a lot about technology. And I say a red letter today for Mr. Fez Whatley today. I think he's bringing up some very good names across the board. The YouTube, Brill. Of course, he talked crazy before he got to it. Sure. But it was a perfect different thing from what you guys were talking about. And bring up a Grand Theft Auto. Another great call. Let's go over to Pepper Hicks, who I expect good things out of, though.
I could have gone Grand Theft Auto or fucking Guitar Hero. But I'm going World...
Yeah, why would you be a bum? Why would you be a bum like these two other idiots?
Hey, I just got Red Letter Day.
I'm going World of Warcraft and, in general, those mass online role-playing games.
Now,
for the PC.
those are the ones that you are actually playing with friends.
Yeah, or just not even friends, just random people you hook up with. Because these things, people become addicted to them.
But here's what I worry about, because when you could hook the Madden up and you could do that online and play with other players, I started doing it. I was fairly sure I was playing with preteens. Just when I saw their play calling and how they would quit after they went down by, let's say, 14 points, just boom, they're gone. I'm like, well, that's childish. And I thought to myself, if this was in real life and I was sitting at a table playing with a child and adults walked by, I'd probably, if not arrested, I'd be questioned.
That happens to me on Mario Kart.
I don't want to do that.
I play against people from all over the world, and I'll just, after the race, if I lose, the amount of derogatory terms that I come up with for Frenchmen just exits my mouth.
Now, after going over this, do you guys have a definitive that you like?
I still stick with Rock Band. I'm very confident in that.
Can I give you one other name, and maybe you'll hop on?
Yeah.
I'm talking about something that it's both a game to play and a social networking thing where the people actually go off and become friends even when they're not playing the game.
Okay.
And I'm talking about MafiaLife.com, where you can do jobs, move your way up, maybe even whack a boss.
No.
All on MafiaLife.com.
No.
Text-based.
It's a terrible...
Have you ever gone to Mob Candy?
Yes,
it's a great
I have.
magazine.
Not really.
Yeah.
Just a lot of mafia. It's just a lot of typing.
Do me a favor, folks. Go to MafiaLife.com right now and see if you don't enjoy it.
They probably won't, but, that's a surprising answer from Ron.
I got an email. I'm a capo. Hooray.
Isn't that great, though?
It didn't make sense.
That means we got to listen to you or else we get whacked.
The game was kind of dull. I would just go into Mafia Life.
No, it's great.
I would just start yelling at people.
Stop it. It's great. Let's move into the next one. And Dave, you wanted to pick this. You said it was Life Changers?
Life Changers.
No, hadn't we already done that with the first one with the technology?
No.
Absolutely not. All right. I'm willing to... What's it going to be? Flat screen? Is that it?
You're close. But you did mention something that's digital. And to me, as a huge film buff, the fact that we are now officially have entered a new way of cinema, and that's digital cinema, between the digital cameras and the green screen and CGI characters.
Well, Gollum was the first CGI character, right?
Yeah, well, the first CGI character who interacted for a full movie. I mean, the dinosaurs in Jurassic Park were... But, I mean, this was a guy who was talking with Frodo.
He replaced an actor.
He replaced Andy Serkis, who did the voice. Andy Serkis wore the suit, and acted with the little Elijah Wood. But when it came time for the movie, they put in an animated character.
Well, you've kind of come up with an interesting thing there, too. Because of this, and even now people can Photoshop their own stuff, can we even trust our eyes? If I was to see a picture of Fez kissing Dave's wife, can you even say this is true?
Right. An excellent Photoshop could absolutely fake that. Could absolutely pull that off. I hope I haven't given anyone ideas.
But what would Photoshop is actually there for a while in the earlier part of this decade. It was so rampant. And now people are bored with it that you don't even bother laughing at a good Photoshop. You're just like, thanks. And you just delete. Oh, there's Obama blowing me. Appreciate it. And you move on from there.
But with the digital shit, I'm not just talking about George Lucas, Star Wars films.
You're talking about a genius like Jim Cameron.
Jim Cameron, yeah, but no, what I'm also talking about is I own a digital camera, and now I can go out there, shoot pictures of my kids. If I just dim the lights in my house, it looks like an incredible movie, infinitely better than the old VHS, big clunky cameras. These little digital things, remember the movie with the Godzilla creature? That was all little digital cameras. It was cheap.
I saw a thing, and I think some guy in Korea shot some kind of quick monster movie, put it on YouTube for $500, was signed within a couple of weeks, up by Hollywood.
And I want to give someone credit, Ron. His name is Francis Ford Coppola.
Who?
Francis Ford Coppola.
Not familiar with him.
Oh, he was a director.
Oh,
Invented the Ford.
His daughter directs.
Yeah, Sofia Coppola directs. If you watch the documentary Heart of Darkness, okay.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, this documentary goes it's well over a decade, and he predicted in the 90s, they said, what's the future of film? He said some little fat girl is going to somehow, he didn't know what, but he said somehow get access to the technology will allow her to, she can have her own camera, she'll make a movie, and then somehow she'll be able to show that movie to millions. He fucking called that 15 years ago, and that's what we're living in right now.
I remember when he did it on the Oscars one time, too, where he walked out on the Oscars and was trying to explain to people how much the technology was going to change. They kind of pan around. You see people like just kind of phasing out, and that's their business. That's their business.
He's an Nostradamus.
Yeah.
And they were just like, oh, there's Francis.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm so excited.
you really do, like, when people get, like, they'll try to have, like, a YouTube channel for a little while, and they'll get bored with it. But you forget, you, with that, have better equipment than Steve Allen did when he started The Tonight Show, than Ed Sullivan did when the Beatles came out. You can sit in your living room and make something better that they could do, and all the expenses that they put into it.
I think the equipment is more sophisticated than Scorsese was using.
Oh, absolutely.
When he made Mean Streets, for Christ's sakes, we can do it if we want.
Yeah,
and that's why this digital age with the cameras and the green screens are life changers.
You know, we're at that point now where there's a difference, that there's very little difference between, like, what you would consider a film movie and shot on videotape. And in the same way, the weirdest thing for a person my age is to see something like film disappear. And at the beginning of this decade, you went out, took pictures of the city, dropped them off at the lab. I'm not talking about the ancient past.
No.
I'm talking about in 2001, after 9/11, everybody was buying cameras and taking pictures and not even thinking. And the occasional person had a digital camera, and they were kind of ignored. Now try to find anyone shooting with film. Right. Try to find a place in the city to get your film developed. It's not easy.
My mom used to have a dark room, but she stopped doing it.
Where she drank?
Oh, God.
It's
you know
Christmas
he's
holidays.
Irish. You know he's Irish.
I'm so drunk now.
What you're saying is just like too true to be funny.
I know.
Oh.
I feel I'm going to start drinking after we're done with this.
Yeah. There has to be a certain amount of irony, not just blunt truth, to get a laugh.
So she's converted her dark room. She put an air hockey table there.
I'd like to talk to you forever, but I got other people on the show. I could give a shit about your mom's air hockey. I don't know whether you're drinking again, like you were on, was it mute? Oh, it was TV Day.
TV Day.
TV Day, you were loaded.
Yeah.
Let's go over to Chris Stanley.
Without a doubt, the one thing that's changed, I think, a lot of millions of people's lives is a computer program, BitTorrent. Now, BitTorrent is a protocol where it allows you to download things. Now, originally it was Napster and LimeWire and Kazaa. BitTorrent pretty much brings everything into a central location, and it apparently some people think it accounts for 50% of everything that gets downloaded on the internet through this protocol.
Is that also going to last, or is it going to go the same way as the other ones that you mentioned?
It's lasted for 10 years, and it's more ambiguous than that. It's a way to do something instead of a product. It was invented in 2001, and so it can be applied to different programs. But it's something that's been adopted by legal downloaders and illegal downloaders. Thanks to this thing, I got a virus on my computer. I lost everything. In 2 days, I had 400 albums back. Literally 2 days, I had 400 albums from spanning 40 years.
You just never pay for anything, do you?
Thanks, BitTorrent.
Thanks, BitTorrent.
I'm gonna pay for shit.
Fez Whatley, you've done so well this hour.
Yes.
But these guys have set the bar pretty high. Can you get through one last thing without being kind of nutty and stupid on it?
Okay.
I'd love it if you could.
All right. Here's what I'm going to put out there.
Oh, please. I hope it's great.
The life changer. The personal GPS of knowing. For me personally, someone who has a huge phobia of getting lost, this is a life-changing thing. Having my TomTom GPS with me.
I would say great, except for I had that this summer in Chicago, and it doesn't understand that there's some neighborhoods I don't want to drive through. I somehow also found this summer the rough part of Rochester, New York. Who would have ever even thought? And as I'm looking for a restaurant, that TomTom prick had me get off the highway, drive through a very shady area at night to finally get to a place that I went back and looked at it later. What I did was, instead of trusting them, went to the waiter and asked him, how do I get back to the highway without driving to that neighborhood? And he goes like this, oh, never drive to that neighborhood. I go, it's a little fucking late. I already did it. So I don't think, I agree with what you're saying, and by the way, it's already kind of obsolete because the BlackBerry has it, the iPhone has it. It's just another application rather than that separate piece. But they've got to work out what kind of neighborhoods that you want to travel through.
Oh, and the GPS doesn't exactly tell you when to turn in time. I found a few times.
Sometimes, well, also what can happen is it'll do the reconfiguration where it's like we're checking back in. Well, I'm driving fucking 70.
I know.
I'm in 8 lanes of traffic. You can't fucking leave me out there.
Oh, no. When I drove down to Opie's wedding, I just, like Luke Skywalker at the end of Star Wars, I just turned the fucking computer off.
Just believe?
I just, went
I'm going to find it?
Because it was giving me wrong routes.
Do you know that I was sitting in the church going like this, Dave, David, come to me, trust yourself, Dave. Trust yourself and come to the church.
Hey, what's wrong? You've turned your computer off.
But have you noticed that these things are on BlackBerry and iPhone now?
No, I didn't know they had the
GPS.
GPS.
You don't even do it. And there's even walking stuff in the streets of New York where you actually have, they'll tell you you're 18 feet away from a place to get burgers.
Yeah, VZ Navigator comes with Verizon.
You know, as blown away as we are with this hour, put this away for 10 years and hear how stupid we sound. We're going to be like, I've come up with a way. It's going to sound like this to us now. You take 2 sticks and you rub them together for a few hours and you'll get a spark. Now take some brown grass and put it over that spark and blow on it slowly and you'll have fire. Technology is changing so quickly that it's almost a little scary. And a part of you just says to yourself, I hope I'm dead before it gets really, really weird. And maybe that is the point of today's Best of the Decade. If we can wish anything for you folks, it's that you quickly die before the robots take over and enslave you, rape you, until finally you envy the dead.
That's disturbing.
That's the future we're looking at.
Well, not necessarily.
Hyperdyne.
And by the way, I think if we go over everything this hour and what's the most mind-blowing, MafiaLife.com still comes in as the single
over
best.
Google, right?
That is it for this hour. I don't know where we are in this vacation, Fez. And then, Hicks, you even said some of these you're going to take and put together
for the weekend, our weekend best ofs.
As the weekend's best of.
Yeah.
So we don't know where that's going, but try it with us as much as you can. And I hope you're enjoying your holiday vacation. That's for us. Coming up next, it's the best around Fez.